Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, March 26, 2019. Super excited. Been wanting to have Don Price on the show for a long time. Honestly, since I was in the Mayor's Academy last year, and I had heard about you, but I didn't know much. So we're going to get the details, but you know the most important thing, let us know you can hear us and see us. I know we're kind of on an off time, but that's all right. You guys pipe in. You're good. So we want a thumbs up. Susie Parker's on, so Susie, let me know you can hear us and see us. Did you know that counter up there doesn't count the people who remove themselves?
No, that's terrible.
It's a secret. It's a secret. So I'm assuming you can hear us and see us, Susie. I haven't heard anything different. All right, Georgie. Yes, thank you, Georgie. So welcome, my friend. I'm super excited to have you on here.
I'm so glad to be here. I watch the show all the time, and I'm like, you know what? I want to be to the left of me, because you know, and what people cannot see right now is this view.
I know. I wish I could figure out how to incorporate that without it not literally washing both of us out. That's the problem. I just need a good light. Maybe I need a studio. Hello. I don't know. All right, so tell them about you. Give us a little background on Don Price. I mean, eventually we want to get to what is a sexton. We want to get to what you're doing now. Do not Google that word. And he's right, because it came up and I'm like, oh God, I meant sexton. Whatever you're putting in there, Google's not good. But give us a little background on you, buddy.
Well, I retired recently after 31 years with the city.
Thank you for your service.
You know,
amazing.
And so as I retired, I decided to move on to a little different things. And so I still do tours, and I do a Greenwood tour, and I do downtown tours, and I do other things. But luckily, I still get to work with vets. I still get 3 days a week I work with vets, and then with the other time, I work with Jersey Mike's.
I heard. I can't wait to hear more about that.
I am their brand ambassador.
You'd be a great brand ambassador for anyone.
Yeah, so it's fun. It's great. I get to set up charities, and I get to set up all this cool stuff.
So tell us a little bit about you, though. Like, people want to know. You weren't born, and then you said, I want to be a sexton.
No.
So there's got to be a little history on Don Price.
Well, there is. I started off at 19. I ran out of money. And you know, I didn't have the whole family. You know, I didn't have the silver spoon, so I ran out of money. And I looked in the paper, and there was a job, and it was basically said education reimbursement. That's all I saw.
That's good.
That's it. That's all I saw. And it was for the city. So I jumped in.
Heck yeah.
And I worked in archives.
Because we used to place ads in newspapers 30 years ago.
Yeah.
People are like, what? I don't
understand. They placed ads, and all it said, I didn't read City of Orlando. I didn't read anything else. All I read was education reimbursement.
Nice.
So I jumped in, and I ended up in the archives department. Now, this was in the 80s. So in the 80s, we didn't have the digital imaging. We didn't have
People don't believe me. My kids don't believe me.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even have computers.
We had microfiche.
Yeah,
microfilm. Google that too.
Yeah. And so I was one of the lucky persons where I got in that point where we got to convert all of the city's minutes from the 1800s all the way up when we went digital. And so
you had no history background before, did you?
Well, no. I just needed the money.
You saw that? I mean, that's the most honest answer on the planet.
I needed the money. It was. I didn't have a history degree. I didn't have any of that. I just needed a job that would pay for education.
Understood.
So what the best part is, you know, the typewriter came in about 1914 was a typewriter. So after that, we really didn't need to read the minutes in because the typewriter could character recognize.
That's correct.
It could do all of that. So from 1875 to 1913, I got to read all of the city minutes into a tape recorder. And we would actually hand those over every night to a court reporter, a stenographer.
Very cool.
And that stenographer would convert all of the written words. So I got to read all.
Was it motivating? Is that brought a new passion to you?
Oh, it did. It was so amazing to be able to sit there and read the words that where you've got like Cassius Boone, and you've got where like N.L. Mills showed up at a meeting, and you've got these people that our streets and our names and our buildings and so on were there, and they would show up and literally complain about not getting paid $5. You know,
it was a different world.
Oh,
my
it was
friend.
a different world. It was like, pay me my $5.
That was a big amount back then.
I'm telling you. And so we'd be able, you know, we were able to do this, and we had it converted, and then now it's all digital. So everything's a digital world. So around 2004, 2005, right after the hurricanes, they moved archives and the cemetery in the same boat. So we were the same department.
That's how you became sexton.
That's how I
define a sexton for them.
A sexton is, if you go back into way back, the term actually goes back to the keeper of the Eucharist. Is the keeper of the Eucharist was the sexton, and then it became the person that oversees the burials in the church. And so then it became the person that digs the graves and rings the bell.
Wow.
So if you ring the bell, anybody listen to AC/DC Hell's Bell?
Yeah.
That's a funeral bell. At the beginning, that's a funeral bell.
See?
So every morning.
Look at what you're learning today on the TED Show.
So every morning, every city would ring that church bell. And that church bell would let them know that there's going to be a burial, and there was going to be this, and there was going to be that in their city. So now it's progressed as the person that just oversees the burials in a city is all it means. But I've had a great career with it.
I mean, that is a lot, but you also did tours, which you mentioned earlier.
I still do.
Tell them about the tours, because I didn't know they existed until I was on the Mayor's Academy part of the Mayor's Academy last year, and I was fascinated by the fact that we have tours of Greenwood.
We have tours of Greenwood. I did one Friday night.
Did you really?
I did one Friday night.
Nighttime ones.
Nighttime tours, because I try to take every stereotype. I want to take you on a full moon. I want to take you at night. I want to take you into a cemetery. I want to take every stereotype that you've been afraid of and make it just part of history. Because when you learn that, you know, who Bumby was, like, you know, Bumby was one of our first hardware men.
I did not know that.
But now, if you go to his hardware store at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, we can get a drag show, and we can get a hot dog that's called Mary's Little Secret. So
nice. That's where his hardware store
was?
That's
right. Hamburger
Very
Mary's.
cool. I didn't know
Mary's.
this.
So we have all this history
That's
that
awesome.
we try to pull together, which is amazing for Orlando.
Yeah.
Where everybody, since most people are not from here, and most people are first or second generation, but we can take the buildings and the places and our lakes and so on and move them together, and all of a sudden maybe you could get that feeling of home. You could get that.
Well, I love anything that the history is fascinating to me in general. And I think that we drive around these places and we see things named after people, and we don't think that there was actually a person that had a last name Mills.
Correct.
We don't think that there was a Bumby or perhaps a Robinson. Well, I mean, there's so many things that we just don't think about on a daily basis, and that's what's so amazing about what you do and did.
Exactly. And looking, I know everybody can't see, but looking this way, we have Joe Kittinger Park. Yes. Now, Joe Kittinger had to have custom-made pants. That's all I can say. Only because...
I think I want to know why, but I'm not sure I want to know.
But just think. He was the man that designed or tested what we now know as the spacesuit.
Yes.
This is the gentleman that they said, look, I need you to fly in a balloon, and we're going to take you up to the atmosphere, and I want you to jump out and parachute.
Nobody knows this story.
And he goes, okay. I mean,
okay.
So he jumps out. Now, he's from here. He lives here. We got Joe Kittinger's Park right in front of us. Now,
where is Joe Kittinger's Park for them?
Right at the executive airport.
Okay, so that's... Right and I think a lot of people hear the name, but they just don't place it. They don't know what that means.
Correct. And if you drive down the 408, you'll see, an airplane. You'll see a fighter jet. And what was neat is when that was his actual jet.
Oh, it was? I didn't know that.
We didn't know that. And all of a sudden, the when they got the jet, they started to redo it, and they pulled the serial numbers, and they pulled that, and they come to find out that was his fighter jet from Vietnam.
Now, is that which is amazing, is that the one that's near Baldwin Park, which used to be
No.
Is it closer? Because isn't
right.
there a jet in there too?
Yes, there is. Baldwin Park was the old NTC. It was the old Naval Training Center.
My wife was born there.
No
When it was the
way.
Air Force Base.
Yes, it was an air base.
And so Air Base,
It was
that's
an
right.
air base.
And she was born there and adopted from there. And I didn't know, I grew up knowing it was a naval base.
Yes.
Or naval. And I had no idea it was air before that.
Can you imagine the first? There was an Army group that stayed, but can you imagine being the first Navy guys that showed up and they really didn't tell you that it was converted? Because that's what happened. I mean, they were literally showing up to an Army base, and they were like, "We're here for the Navy." But now it's Baldwin Park.
I know.
And so all of this amazing stuff that Orlando has, and we forget our history every day.
We do.
And just these amazing things. And the other day, even on Facebook and all, I posted an old beer mug from the Navy base.
You did?
Yes, and a coffee mug. And so, I posted those up. And it's amazing that our history, and since we're so transient in our history, that people just forget. And I like to say that, everything dies twice. Everybody, every person, every building, everything dies twice.
All right, you're going to share this with me.
Yes, you die when you take your last breath, or you're torn down, or whatever, if you're a building, whatever. But you also die when they mention your name for the last time. So we got to keep talking about the naval base. So we got to keep talking about Greenwood, and we got to keep talking about even the old city hall. The old city hall that, now we know the new city hall, but the old city hall was blown up in Lethal Weapon 3.
I was here for that.
Okay, blew up in Lethal. So, we have that history in Orlando.
We do.
And this
even the Citrus Club,
yes,
the Citrus Club has so much history. Like the room that we're in is Duncan. There's a reason it's called Duncan. And there's a reason that there are.
Duncan.
Yeah, right. So So these people were super instrumental in the city at the time when this was going on.
Exactly. Beale Duncan. This is the Duncan room, and Beale Duncan was the son-in-law of the president of what we now know as Sunbank.
I gotcha.
Now, they say if it wasn't for Beale Duncan, there might not be a Disney World today.
Wow.
Because people, like the Disneys, when they came into Florida and they came into everything else, they loved Beale because he was folksy and he was personal, and they thought they could trust him. But so that's where we get our little names from. Even we go down to Park Plaza today at Lake Eola. That's where Disney was announced.
Oh, is that where it was announced? I did not know that.
In the Egyptian room. Can you imagine what in 1966 an Egyptian room looked like?
No, I cannot imagine.
Just imagine.
That's why I love them whenever I'm driving around. I know I've been here for a long time, but I don't have that much history. But I just grew up knowing these names, and then just recently, especially with the show,
right,
I've learned so much, and we have a very rich history here. So what do people think about when you go on a cemetery tour, right?
Well,
so I love, because you give the history, you actually stop at certain grave sites and talk about the person buried there.
Right. Yeah, but we tell their story is what we do. And you look at, like, everybody looks at Lake Eola Fountain, the fountain downtown. That actually has a name. It's not the Lake Eola Fountain, it's actually the Linton E. Allen Memorial Fountain. So when you go back and
wish I knew that, because I did not know that. I'm not going to lie, I didn't know that. And I was on the committee where we talked about it and changed the flag. Sorry. All right, the Linton E. Allen Memorial Fountain. Good to know.
And so you've got all of these things at Orlando that we try to talk about. We got Dixon Azalea Gardens. That was named after Colonel Dixon. And you've got all
and we don't know who Colonel Dixon is.
Oh, but he was such a great man. Colonel Dixon. We have a garden named after him, which is actually, y'all can't see it, but it's right there.
It's that way.
It's that way. But, he was instrumental in getting all of the azaleas planted in Orlando.
Oh.
But Picton Warlow came into Orlando, and he came from England, found 17 varieties of azaleas, planted them at his home on America Street, and all of a sudden, the city tore it down. You know, they tore the house, because that's what we do in Orlando. We tear down our history.
I don't like it.
But we do.
I
We tear it down.
I know.
And so Colonel Dixon picked up the job, and he, went door to door, sold the azaleas, did this and that.
Oh, he did? I did not know that either.
But we have all of our little things. I mean, something as simple as like Lake Jenny Jewel.
Like Jenny Jewel,
Like
right?
Jenny Jewel,
I don't
which
know. Was Jenny Jewel a person?
Yes.
See, I didn't know
So
that. I
that
would guess
was-
now because I'm with you, but I didn't know.
That was Dr. Preston's wife, and her name was Jenny. And
She was a
his
jewel. She was his jewel.
See, that's
that's romantic.
And
I like that.
And I keep telling people, quit stealing my flowers at Valentine's Day. And just name something happy.
Right,
in your
just
life.
name
Just
something.
name something.
What about the swans? So I learned a little bit about the
Alright.
swans. I actually had 2 people message me before once I tagged you this morning.
Uh-huh.
They're like, tell us about the swans tent. I got a little bit of that when I was on the flag committee.
Alright.
But I would love for you to share because people are like, they've been here since the dawn of time. And I'm like, you're wrong.
That's right, they have it. Charles Lord brought the swans from England around 1910. He brought the swans in, and he brought 2 sets from England. He brought a white set and a black set. And now, originally, they were at Lake Lucerne
I did not know
because
that either.
Lake Eola was private. So there were 3 families that owned Lake Eola, with the Summerlands, the Musselwhites, and the Sperrys owned Lake Eola. So
Y'all ever heard of those names
yeah,
before?
Sperry Mountain. We have it at Greenwood.
It's crazy.
The one at Lake Eola. It's fake. It's a faux.
It's fake. It's faux.
It's a faux.
Oh, inside scoop.
It's not real. So what he did is he brought the swans in, and he thought they would be beautiful in Orlando. So he presented them to City Council, and City Council said we love them, but the problem that we had is the white swans and the black swans didn't get along.
Interesting.
So they didn't get along. Now, Billy, who was the meanest swan of all, and he was a white swan, and he was the meanest of all. He actually killed his mate. Now, swans mate for life, but he actually drowned his mate.
What'd she do?
Well, as the story goes, she left the nest.
Oh.
And she went out because Billy was doing his thing. So she left the nest and left the nest watched or
Billy was
unsettled.
mad.
And the eggs disappeared.
Wow.
Yeah. So Billy killed her.
Wow.
So when Billy killed her,
Billy the swan.
yeah, Billy the swan. Now Billy is stuffed and is at the History Center.
Is he really?
Yes,
I did not know that
he is
either.
stuffed and he is at the History Center. But the beautiful thing is he's in plexiglass and he's stuffed. But every time they move him, he kind of hits the glass. So it looks like he's pecking at the glass when you see
He's coming
it.
back.
Yeah, you'll see the plexiglass and it looks like he's pecking.
He's still mad at his wife. It's real bad. So that's such a great story because I think, especially when we were doing the flag, people are like, hey, what's up, Bernie? Happy Tuesday. People are like, you have to include the swans. They've been here forever since the dawn of time. I'm like, okay, I thought that too.
Nope.
I didn't know.
Nope.
So I was educated. I'm like, okay. But the swans can also, they have a mean streak in them, right?
Yes.
They're not necessarily as easy to corral as you guys think. So when you've got your little kid going up trying to give them food or whatever you're doing, you need to be really careful with that because they will get you.
And what's funny too is at least like once a month someone would call me and they go, look, I think someone stole a swan. And I'm like, what do you mean? They go,
I hear that all
they're
the
like,
time.
There's a swan in the lake at Greenwood. And I'm like, well, okay, they're birds. They fly. They're not.
We think they're just around
Yeah.
World of Beer and Lake Eola
Yeah.
and the farmer's
No,
market
no,
and
no.
occasionally near the fountain.
No, but when they fly, and I used to tell them that. I said they're birds and they fly. We have such a rich,
We have a rich history.
in Orlando.
So what was it like to retire from that? What was it? What was the decision-making process? And then you're 30 years in, you go, okay, so what am I going to do? I have all this wonderful knowledge, amazing knowledge, and now what am I going to do?
Well, the day I decided to retire, and I tell people all the time, the day I decided to retire was the day that morning I woke up and I had to deal with a mother that had just lost a baby. I had to deal with it. Now, people think of all the history we talk and all the stuff, but a lot of people don't realize that the families were our number one, that we dealt with families all day. And so I dealt with her, and then after lunch I got a phone call from a mother that lost an 18-year-old child in a motorcycle accident.
And the reason that you have to do, just to reiterate, is because you're in charge of Greenwood, which is the city cemetery.
Correct.
So you've got all the history, but you're still dealing with the day in, day out tragic stuff.
Correct. And we had just got done with moving Johnny Reb, the statue from Lake Eola. We just got finished with that. Where I even had death threats at my own house, where people were sending me death threats at my own house. We dealt with the Pulse massacre, with all of that. And so when all that happened that day, I went home and I said, you know what? I'm done.
Yeah.
After 31 years, I've decided that I no longer want to pick up the phone. If that makes sense. I no longer want to pick up the phone. So I decided to retire. The city asked me to stay on to do the tours and we're starting a downtown tour.
We are?
Yes,
Tell me about the
downtown tour. And we got all that going on.
That.
And so the downtown tour has been amazing, only because we can take people that have been on the Greenwood tour, and we can show them their buildings, and we can show them places,
I bet
and we
that's
can show.
cool.
And then it's even like I just mentioned Johnny Reb, but he sat in the intersection of Main and Central. So imagine, you've got the library,
right,
and you got the History Center. Imagine right in the intersection is where that statue sat. Not off to the side, but in the intersection.
It's and a lot of people bypass stuff all the time. Like I ask people, where is our version of the Statue of Liberty in Orlando? And they tell me there is none, Ted. I'm like, you have passed it 1,000 times. Literally 1,000 times. It's right there at I-4 and Orange, and where all that intersects as you're going toward the that district near Princeton. And people are like, oh my God, it's crazy. Yeah, right near the Chamber of Commerce. That's right.
Now, before that, there was a big orange ball there. There was a big orange.
Remember that.
There was a big orange there. Now, Edward Kuehl, which we all know, Kuehl Avenue and Kuehl Street, which runs behind the hospital. He actually, with the Boy Scouts, collected pennies, and they melted the pennies down. And that's where that's from.
That's so cool.
So it's we got. I mean, when you think about the stories behind all of the little things that we have, even when you go by our Statue of Liberty, which is right there, and you go to the Hammered Lamb, right across you have, we have a park, Gaston Edwards Park.
Yes, we do.
He was one of the three founders of what we now know as ORC. So,
I did not know that either.
So as we
Gaston
know,
Foster Park is out on Prairie Ford, or there's a Gaston Foster Road somewhere.
Gaston
around.
Edwards. I'm sorry, Gaston Edwards. So
what do I?
But yes, wait.
So he has Georgie has a question. Mm-hmm. Is it true? Do you know Lake Eola is a sinkhole?
Yes, it is. That's why the fountain is not in the middle. It is set off to the side, only because it is a true sinkhole. And the bottom was too deep, so the original plans were to put it in the middle, and they shifted it to the side where the ground was.
Look at us educating people.
Look at us.
All right, so so you're doing the tours, you're creating the downtown tour. I can't wait for that. What are you doing now? See, here we go. Hello.
Here we go. Hello.
We just want to say hi. It's okay. What are you doing now? You mentioned it earlier when you came on.
What I do is
in addition to still doing the tours.
In addition to doing the tours, I've been blessed where I get to work a few days a week with vets and
which is such important.
Help them, and I got one of the craziest titles you would ever. It's like customer experience something. So literally, I just get to mess with vets all day long.
I love it.
And then my other job is
they need all the help and support
they do, and they are. But the other is I'm the brand ambassador for the Central Florida Jersey Mike's.
So that's why I have to share the story because I think it's funny. So Don's messaging me and he's talking about subs and things like that. And I didn't know because, as you guys know, I spend all of my money on research on whatever's in my mug. So we don't do R&D here. And I'm like, why is he asking me about sub? Why is he sending me a food menu? I'm so confused. But once you explained it, I love it. So you're the ambassador.
So what I do, what I get to do is from Polk County. We got Polk, Orange, and actually Osceola too. And I get to set up charities is what I do. So if you need spirit nights or you need, anything that goes on with charities, I get to set those up. Nice. So that it's a beautiful thing.
I love that.
Tomorrow.
You're always doing good. I mean, you always were, but this is awesome. This is really your job.
This is my job. And believe it or not, I get a check for it. But tomorrow is the day.
Yes, let's talk about that.
March 27th. Tomorrow's the day. 100% of everything that goes through any Jersey Mike's register. I don't care if it's New York, New Jersey, Florida, Georgia, it doesn't matter. Goes to one of their local charities.
Wonderful.
100%. So
the day of giving.
Is the day of giving, is what they call it. So tomorrow is the day of giving. So I always say, if it's the one day that you order Uber Eats, or if it's the one day that you want to cater your office, or if it's the one day you want to do anything, 100% will go to a local charity. The Central Florida local charity is Hugs from Bugs.
I don't know that charity.
Bugs, her name is Haley, and she childhood leukemia. So what she would do is she beat leukemia, and she would show up in the hospitals and go and give the other kids hugs and let them know that they could beat it. So she was positive that she beat leukemia and she could do it. So last year, there are 24 franchises in the 3-county area wrote a check for $85,600.
That's amazing.
To this local charity.
Wow.
So that's tomorrow.
Now, if you guys know anything about local charities, that's like $1 billion in local charity money.
Amazing.
That's absolutely awesome.
So, what we've done is in the last few years, we signed charities up for a few years because we work with them. But this charity has received almost $500,000 from Jersey Mike's alone. So that means a lot. Now, what this charity does is they buy gas cards and they pay your utility bills and they pay stuff that you can't, while you're trying to fight with your child to beat this disease and beat this cancer, they're paying your basics, your basic needs, your groceries, they're giving you Publix gift cards.
I need to know more about, I want to have them on the show because we talk about this all the time with Ted's community and the TED show. People don't realize that there are so many things that fall through the cracks.
Correct.
And you don't understand the challenges of just getting to your chemo appointment can be a nightmare because there's no transportation, or you lost your job and your disability ran out, or you had no disability and now you're trying to figure out how to pay the rent, pay utilities, have food on the table. It is absolutely overwhelming when you're trying to beat something like cancer.
Correct. And this is what this charity does. And the neat thing about this local charity is less than 10% is admin costs.
Wow, I love that.
So,
that's my favorite.
Yeah, so over 90% goes back to the people that need it the most. So come tomorrow, I would say everybody. Tomorrow.
And Uber Eats will count for that too?
So
you can order, that's sweet, Georgie. You can order Uber Eats, Jersey Mike's. You can go to the store, pick it up. Make that your thing if you're catering something. You have a luncheon going on. That's so awesome. We'll put the link up when we're finished. I'll get the link from Don and we'll put it up on the show.
It's an amazing thing. And when I signed a contract with Jersey Mike's, when they called me and I signed a contract, my number 3 thing on my contract was give to give.
Nice.
Was number 3. It's in my contract. And
so
and I tell people, they go, well, you know what? You're not the cheapest sub in the world. And I go, we're not. But guess what? It's quality, and we give back.
Listen, you want to give back tomorrow? If you're going to get a sub anyway, I love a sub, by the way. Me too. Use Jersey Mike's tomorrow, and I'll give you the link. All right, so We're going to share that link, Don's contact information, how you can reach out to him, how you can schedule a tour, go on the tour, how you can learn more about the downtown tour. Trust me, he's an open book. So if you got a question like Georgie posted about Lake Eola being a sinkhole, I love those questions. Don is definitely a wealth of information. You want to tap into that. He's very gracious. So I didn't get to tell you this before we went live, but I asked every guest, any parting words of wisdom, anything you want to share with them before we head out today?
No, I really don't. I thank you for letting me be here. It's a wonderful experience, and I love talking about
I
the
could
history.
listen to you
I love
all
everything.
day.
And you know, it's just the beauty. And if anybody would love to learn about Orlando, just, you know, we have I don't post as much as I should, but just find me on Orlando Has History. We started that.
Awesome.
And we just want to let people know that we do have history. That
We really do.
we were a vibrant city way before Disney, way before Martin Marietta, way before all of that. And we even have some really cool stories, like, you know, the Harley Hotel across from, now it's a condominium, but it used to be the Harley Hotel, which is across from the band shell in Lake Eola. That was owned by Leona Helmsley, the Queen of England.
I actually knew that.
Yeah.
I had a formal there when I was in high school.
Parties there. Yeah.
I was not old enough for those parties at the
I'm
time.
going to tell you, they had, that's where everybody came into town when they were, like all the music bands and all the bands.
So it's not a hotel anymore. I pass it all the time. You think
it's
I would
not.
know that.
But Gypsy Rose Lee stayed there.
Nice.
So if you've ever seen the Broadway show Gypsy,
Absolutely.
you know, she was the person that put the T's in striptease.
Nice.
So we have
great history.
We have great history.
History's
and
so
it's-
fascinating to me. I love it. I could talk about it all day long.
And to do it in a fun way, and to do it and
Which
have,
obviously he does. I mean, you've listened to him for 30 minutes. Isn't it awesome?
You know,
we really are.
So we do.
You bring
we
it to
have a
life,
fun
which is
time.
lovely.
And that's the beauty, is bringing the history to life because we need to.
We really do.
I had one of the best history teachers in school, and it was never fun. So I like to have fun with it and tell you stories. And if you can remember them and go back and share them with a friend, that's the way to do it.
I'm telling you, anybody who watches the show will never forget Lake Eola is a sinkhole. That's what they're going to take away. I swear to God.
I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you right now. I'll give you another one before.
Tell us.
Lake Greenwood, Orlando's first toilet.
I have absolutely no doubt in my
That's
mind
right.
at this
It was
point.
Orlando's first toilet.
Fantastic.
What would happen is the city scavenger would come by your house every morning and he'd take your pecan. So all you Yankees out there,
Your
there's
pecan
a pecan and
and a pecan, trust me.
So he
Oh,
would
you-
take your pecan and he would pour it in a bigger pecan and put it right there at Lake Greenwood.
So there you go. The pecan story for Lake Greenwood. All right, you've been a joy. You're awesome. Reach
Thank
out
you.
to Don. We'll post the links. We love you guys. We'll be back really soon. Mwah. Bye,
See
guys.
ya.